Welcome to the latest edition of In Focus on the Mojo Sports Network. I'm your host, Jonathan Robinson Lees. Today I chat with Brenna Tarrant. Growing up in the Blue Mountains west of Sydney, Brenna had the dream of someday playing for the Sydney Swans. In 2022, this dream became a reality as Brenna ran onto North Sydney Oval for the Swans in their AFLW debut in front of 8,000 people. Brenna shares her positivity and passion in this conversation. It is an inspiring journey from her humble upbringings to living her dream on the biggest stage. Please enjoy this latest episode of In Focus on the Mojo Sports Network. Brenna, welcome to In Focus on the Mojo Sports Network.
Hey, yeah, thanks so much for having me. Very excited.
Brenna, in 2022, you played your first game for the Sydney Swans in the AFLW. It was at North Sydney Oval. Can you describe that moment where you ran out in front of almost 8,000 people there that day?
It was definitely like a 8-year long dream just running out with that. I guess ever since I picked up a footy, the dream was like, I know I always wanted to play professional sport. So I guess the dream then was once I picked up footy, it was like run out for the Swans and do what the boys do and stuff like that, and to do that and see the atmosphere. Like I'd done it before in other colours, but to do it for the Swans and at North Sydney Oval in front of all of the staff and the fans, and that was it's pretty insane. And again, like I was pretty focused on other things as well at the time, but it was hard to not just have a quick moment to appreciate the dream coming true.
And what did it mean for you to don the red and white Guernsey of the team that you grew up supporting? How important was that for you?
It's still super important, like it, and I mean to be doing what I'm able to do and to be literally doing what I planned or that I said I wanted to do 10 years ago or whatever, to actually be doing it the exact way that I kind of dreamt of it. It's like so rare for people to have that chance, and I guess I've been given the chance and I just want to make it possible because I know not everyone does. But yeah, I still, like, every time I pull on the jumper and every time I wear, have the logo on my chest, it's just this pride, absolutely pride. Like it's an amazing club, and the club stands for so much. And obviously I stare down at it so often. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here.
You talk about the club itself, the Sydney Swans. They're a very storied club, very successful on-field club. For you, you're a couple of seasons in now with the Swans. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been like, just everyone embraces like everything. I guess within the four walls, the mood changes based on the way things happen. Like the boys lose, we lose. It's like a graveyard. It's like someone's died. But then, like, when good stuff happens, it's all you hear about, and everyone's so up and about. And obviously there's really high standards, and the culture is set for men's, women, staff, anyone that walks through the doors or calls themselves a Bloods fan. There's standards there, but it's absolutely perfect in my eyes. I think it is perfect because like it's everything I've hoped for and grown up wanting, and I'm getting to do it. And I just feel very comfortable to be the athlete that I want to be and that I need to be, and even just the person. And I feel like I'm again turning into a person that I want to be, I guess partly thanks to the Swans.
And that one club, two teams approach where the men's and the women's, they're all representing the same club. How important is that for you, or has that been for you coming in as an AFLW athlete?
It's been wonderful, honestly. Like we share all the facilities. We're pretty much in the facility sometimes at the exact same time, running two programs, side by side. And, to walk past the likes of Dane Rampy and have a chat and want to like pick his brain, or, just have a chat about what we do about, life and, things outside of footy. Like, it's one club, two teams, but also it's just a bunch of mates, and people that just respect one another, are in awe of one another, and just want to be lifelong friends afterwards. And it's really special, and I think it just helps, I mean, myself and everyone else. I think it really helps us all flourish under the brand.
And Brenna, football as a sport, as with a lot of other sports, is very much driven by the data, by the stats, the number of disposals, the number of goals. But as an elite athlete, how do you go about defining success?
Yeah, well, no, I definitely don't see it as a numbers thing. I know like my coach is a very numbers man. He loves his numbers and goes off the stats a lot. But yeah, I think as an individual, if you get caught up too much in your own personal numbers, sorry, you're not playing the team game, and you're probably forgetting about a whole bunch of other different things, like again values and yeah, the game plan or stuff like that. So yeah, I guess success is for me is probably just all the stuff you train plus those extra few little 1%ers that you are doing away from the club to put yourself ahead of the next person or the next team that you come past. And yeah, I guess probably just wanting to push and give everything, but then the mindset being, if I screw up, well then it's in the past now, I've got to move on to the next thing.
And has that always been your perspective, that it's more than just a numbers game, or has that kind of come with time that you've had that approach?
Definitely come with time. I know, yeah, probably a few years ago, maybe even before I got drafted, it was definitely looking at how many disposals did I get to, if I felt like I had my hands on the leather heaps of times, that I'd played a good game. But I guess we didn't have, our games weren't filmed all the time, but if I went back and watched the footy and you know 25 of those 30 disposals, not that I ever really got that, but say that like were missed targets or something, it's actually not a good game. Like, what's the point in looking at that when it doesn't show you everything else, or actually how effective, or whether it's to the game plan, or to your teammates' advantage or to their style and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think my time at both Melbourne and Sydney have sort of changed my view on that, probably more the numbers side of things. I guess I've been really big on just trying not to let things linger, and just move on, because you can't change the past. So yeah, but I definitely think, especially my time at Swans, and again, like 6 pre-seasons now, have sort of just allowed me to rethink what I define as personal and team success.
Brenna, you listed in an interview on the Sydney Swans website a couple of years ago that Jess Fox is an idol of yours,
Oh, yeah.
and you grew up in a similar area to Jess Fox in the Blue Mountains, and we've seen Jess go on just to win the K1 gold medal in the slalom at Paris. As a young athlete growing up, when you've looked at Jess and other female athletes, what is it about them that inspired you?
I think the grit and just the almost like the how do I put it, like the work behind closed doors, working in silence without any of the outside attention. Like, really, you only knew about Jess Fox when she went to London. I mean, I was fortunate enough I was in year 5 when she went to London. So, and she came to my primary school before she went. And then when she won the medal, she came to my primary school again with the medal. And yeah, again, like, you just didn't know so much about Jess before she made it to the Olympics. And I guess that it's all about the evolution of women's sport, but the way she just worked so hard when no one was watching, and she just did this, and then obviously the sustained success now, and the performing under pressure, and executing under those really like important moments, obviously every 4 years for her. For me it might be every weekend, but yeah, it's very inspiring. And yeah, I guess just to see a local girl go on and be so successful, and grow up in the same area, and we both went to Blackstone High for a little bit there, and yeah, it's just awesome to see that someone in the same kind of area as me was able to do that. So like, it's not like there's any limitations.
And in your position now, Brenna, you're now inspiring young girls and boys, the next generation of aspiring athletes. What are you hoping to pass on to, say, a young girl or boy who wants advice or wants guidance in a career in sport?
Yeah, I think it's just why can't you do it? Um, yeah, I mean, a few years ago it might have been because there was no league, but there is a league for both male and females in pretty much almost any sport now, which is absolutely wonderful in Australia, anyways. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just you can support whoever you want to support, whether that's male to female, female to male, female, male to male. Like you can support whoever you want. I mean, I went and did a schools clinic today, and we had the boys saying, "I'm going to come to the AFLW match." Like I support the Swans now, but I'm going to go to the women's game, and even just to see the boys be so passionate just about, again, like the brand and just about footy, and it doesn't matter whether it's male or female and stuff like that. It's just showing that times are changing, but two, that it's a lot more acceptable to just support what you want to do. And that's what I just say, like, who cares what they look like? Support who you want to support and just go do what you want to do. Why can't you do it? Because other people have now.
Can you describe to us, Brenna, what it's like on the inside in terms of the evolution, as you touched on, the evolution of women's sport has been phenomenal and it continues to grow and go. What's it like from an athlete's perspective to know that women's sport, but AFLW is on the up and up and you're on that ride? How's that experience for you?
Yeah, it's almost like you don't recognize it until you actually play the games, because obviously, like, year one for me was year 4, I think, for the AFLW. Obviously now we're into season 9. So I guess, again, for like a lot of kids, the AFLW has pretty much been there since they were born, which is so funny to know now. But yeah, I guess to, one, see the development in not just AFL, but like cricket and all these sports, and how in just a short period of time we've developed so much. And even just that, rather than focusing on where women's sport is now, the new perspective is where it's going. People are so excited to know that it's only improving, rather than, oh wow, it sucks now, or it's slower than the men's and stuff. It's like, well, no, they're training hard and they're improving. So yeah, to be on that journey as well. Like, obviously every time I walk into the club, I'm focusing on getting better in some aspect of my, obviously, training, because there's too many things to focus on in footy to develop it all at once. But yeah, obviously we go in every day wanting to be better than the next team, be better than my opponent, and with that the competition grows. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You talk about that kind of future focus looking ahead. Where do you see the AFLW going?
Yeah, well, obviously I'd love it. Well, I guess, the pay increase and stuff like that. Like it's really starting to shift to a more, well, I guess it's more the front of our minds as athletes now. So, we're not putting our second, like our other job, in front based on obviously the monetary side of things. But yeah, it's kind of at the forefront of our minds at the moment, or at the present. Which is one positive. Obviously, we've now got 18 teams. So, we hope that the next evolution of the AFLW will be more games. Obviously, we've got 11 this year versus 10 the past 2 or 3 years. So, yeah, I guess we're hoping to maybe at least play every team once. And then, eventually what that looks like, whether, we're playing before the men's, after the men's, better time of year, difference, like, in different venues. I think all that stuff's very possible. But I think at the same time, I wouldn't want to change too much of the AFLW, because I think we have our own unique brand. I think I'd like to think that we're quite inclusive and just a lot more, I'm not going to, I don't know, I just think that the way the AFLW's been marketed, I guess, like when you look at the Swans games, we play at Henson Oval, we bring local businesses and lots of people can come with their kids and, sit on the hill and I guess a lot closer, whereas obviously the boys just get huge numbers and in the SCG. So where those activate, you can't so much run those activations in the men's sports or in the men's game. So I don't know, are we a different market? Do we need to be the same as the men? Like, they've got their brand, can we not have ours? So I don't know, it's hard to say. Obviously we want to play more games and try, I guess have our season longer than just 11, because you train for so long for a 10-11 week season, maybe more if you make finals. So I guess that's what I hope the future is.
And Australian rules football, traditionally very male dominated. As you said, we're starting to see a big shift in that space. Growing up for you, Brenna, playing football, how did you handle the stigma that came with being a young girl growing up playing football?
Yeah, it was actually just a female playing football. It didn't matter of the code, obviously, because I was in Western Sydney, like literally at Penrith, the Panthers are there, and then I'm up in the mountains. So yeah, it was just a girl playing football was kind of looked at weirdly. And then obviously the fact that I had chosen AFL, there was only like 5 kids in my school that played AFL out of 1,000. So yeah, obviously looked at very weirdly. And yeah, obviously people sort of created a story about me that was, just I'm talking about my school mates and stuff that maybe I wasn't so close to. Yeah, just kind of saw me as something else, and yeah, just maybe didn't understand why I wanted to do what I am doing, and why I wanted to chase it so hard. So yeah, it was challenging, but it didn't, like, I don't know, I still just had this dream to play for the Swans and to play in a women's league, and to be immersed with the club and literally doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, so I'll say I had a lot of motivation to literally do what I'm doing right now. So it's nice to know that, like, I can think back to that girl who was in year 8 and year 9, and hoping that this would come true and be like, hey, it actually has. Like, you're here, you've done it. So
And
yeah.
did that inspire you, or even fire you up to have people who maybe didn't value you as an athlete or question the sport that you were playing? Did that fuel the passion for you?
I think maybe initially it did. Yeah, definitely. Like I saw, yeah, look, I did do it. I am here, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And yeah, that, like, I'm not going to say you didn't change me, but like, yeah, I just kept at what I wanted, where I wanted to go, and I pursued it. But yeah, I guess at the same time, like, to show people up is not always healthy. Like, you can only have that sort of mentality for so long before it gets a bit toxic. So yeah, it very quickly just moved on to just wanting to be there for my teammates, and play my role, and obviously chase success with my team rather than, yeah, look at what I'm doing. Yeah.
The 2024 season gets underway for you, Brenna, at the end of August. You've got a clash against the Collingwood Magpies at North Sydney Oval. What are your goals for this season ahead?
Hopefully have developed from the last season. Yeah, obviously I've been able to spend a lot of time reflecting from last season to know what I did well and what I didn't, and how to move forward, especially in my role and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I just want to continue, or I want to improve on being a better teammate for my team. And yeah, I guess probably get around the community a little bit more. And yeah, I guess hopefully in that sense I can help grow the AFLW a little bit faster. But yeah, I just hope that I can be the best teammate, and yeah, do my job when it needs to be done.
And around training, around game day, and just around the club generally, as that teammate, what are you trying to do to lead others within the playing group?
Yeah, for me, it's sort of making sure that, so I guess it's actually everyone's kind of adapted it, just making sure that we're, I guess no one's getting left behind. We're all on this journey together. We can only improve as our whole squad. It's not just the 21 that play on game day, it's the full squad has to move together. So what that looks like is, I don't know, if we've had a training session and one of my teammates is just looking a bit flat, it's checking in and making sure that, I might not be physically picking them up, but verbally they've been recognised, and that they know that they're not doing it alone. And I guess just trying to be trusted and respected over liked. I think you're far more successful if you're a respected person versus someone that's just liked. So yeah, some of those things, but I guess just kind of more being there, again, behind the closed doors for all my teammates, and just being a little bit more aware.
Brenna, you grew up in the Lower Blue Mountains, about an hour out of Sydney. How would you describe your upbringing?
Um, Pretty homely. Spent most of my time in the bushes, bush bashing, and yeah, I guess just pretty free, pretty homely. Like, I'd go to school, come home, hang out with the neighbors' kids, and run around. And yeah, I guess the sky was always the limit. Um, and I guess mum and dad always challenged me as well to, they knew what I wanted to do, and where I wanted to go with it. So they definitely challenged me in all the right ways. Yeah, obviously went to school in the mountains, but did all my footy out in Kellyville, Rouse Hill area. So yeah, plenty of time spent in the car, or on the school bus. But yeah, I love where I grew up. It's definitely always going to be my home. I hope one day, maybe after my career, I can move back up there.
Or how important was it, Brenna, to have that, I guess, freedom to explore that you described there, but also the nudging from your parents to pursue something you were passionate about? How important was that to help you get to where you are now?
Yeah, I guess obviously that freedom to explore and stuff obviously, turns to the freedom to be who I want to be, and have, break the chains, break the links, and like just go where you want to go, with my own life. So yeah, obviously at the forefront that was somewhere in sport, and then, obviously I haven't started studying yet, but yeah, obviously then looking into a career choice like such as agriculture and stuff like that. So yeah, I pretty much, it allowed me to kind of think about what I genuinely liked and what I actually really, I guess, which way I wanted my life to go. I sort of, what was it? I kind of read something the other day saying like, no one's going to come and save you. You're in charge of your own life. So yeah, I guess a lot of that, I'm in charge of where, I guess, as well, my youth goes. Obviously you can only play football for so long. So I guess taking that on and, you know, becoming the athlete I want to be, because it's only going to last for so long. It's such a short period of my life. But then, yeah, obviously knowing where I want to go and where I'd actually be happy being. Yeah, and then obviously with my parents, like, number one fans for everyone. So for them, it was just like, hey, we're proud of you and we want you to do this. So we're going to push you to get there because you deserve it, sort of thing.
And you spoke earlier about high school in the Blue Mountains. What role did education play in your childhood?
I kind of always wanted to push it to the side, but then kind of realized that I probably shouldn't. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like sitting in the classroom. I just wanted to be outside, or at least doing something. I was always a hands-on learner. So, I not that I was very good at music. It was just, the ability to learn something like that, or obviously being outdoors with agriculture. That was always so much fun. And yeah, food tech obviously was fun. But yeah, I just, sitting in a classroom and doing equations and writing essays was not, I don't know, I just itched to get outside. So yeah, getting outside was where I learnt best. But yeah, I guess once I got into high school and got a little bit older, I kind of really had to just make sure I was listening and, doing the sluggish stuff. Because I don't know if you, in my eyes, English and maths is like your extra conditioning in a training session. You've just got to do it. So yeah. Anyway, I did it. So all the fun stuff comes now.
And do you recall your first introduction to football, Brenna?
Yeah, I do. It was actually up in Falconbridge in at Tom Hunter Reserve. Or other than like going out and watching the Swans, as my cousin was playing at halftime, I didn't really understand that it was AFL at the time. So probably my real understanding of it was at Tom Hunter, and again my cousins were playing against Camden from memory. I was probably 10, and Camden had a girl playing on their team, and she was really good. She had an awesome kick, and was just actually quite strong and really held herself with the boys. And seeing her there was like, I want to try this. And look, mum and dad thought it was a phase, and I ended up actually being really good friends with that girl through academy spaces. But that was definitely my first one. And then walked past. No, they walked past, I think it was Rebel or something, and saw some pink football boots, and I had to have a go.
And what was it that you first loved about the game?
It's very open, and you can just again, like it's just that freedom to explore. Like you could just run wherever you wanted to, and you could just kind of, for me it was kicking the life out of the ball back then, rather than structures and stuff. But then obviously as I kind of matured into the game, it was, wow, there's so many like different things and different structures and different ways you can play this game, and it's so like every game's different, and you can play all these different roles, and it's all so valuable. And again, like the teamwork side of things, it may not look like it, but because there's 16, 18 people on a field at once, that even if one person out of those 16 or 18 doesn't do their job, how like detrimental it is to the team game. So even just those were like really big life learnings for that.
Were you hearing early on, Brenna, even in your own mind or from coaches, perhaps a particular trait or attribute that they were drawn to? Was it the big kick? Was it your athleticism? Was it your hands? Do you recall something that maybe stood out for you as a player?
I think the main one was, look, I'm considered tall, like tall, but it's not because I'm actually tall. I just seem to, um, I don't know. I have a good vertical leap. Or I don't know. I just can get up higher than what my actual height is. Obviously when I was younger, it was a bit, probably had a bit of athleticism. Nowadays, it's not so much that. My role is just like a defender. So I've got to be explosive, but my role is purely to sort of get aerial and get up in the air and sort of, kill the oppo's momentum. So probably the aerial side of things is probably more what has been the overarching sort of thing potentially.
You spoke about during those schooling years that there was an interest in agriculture, but also anything outdoors that got you moving around. Aside from football, did you have any other thoughts around what career path you may take?
Oh, like I wanted to be a swimmer for a while. I think I really only picked up agriculture sort of later on in school. I don't know. I went through school wanting to be a marine biologist because I like, the marine life and stuff like that. Look, I've always loved animals as well. Like I've always had dogs. So did I want to be a vet? I thought so, and then I did work experience, and no, I don't. Just not my type of working with animals. And then I've just always been so close to obviously the homely animals, but living in the mountains as well. Like a lot of the endangered animals and just the wildlife and the plants and stuff that we're so lucky to have in the country. As I guess as I got older, I kind of appreciated it a lot more. So probably had I not have been doing something in sport, it definitely would have been in some sort of field involving animals.
And Brenna, at what point did you realize that football could become, a genuine path for you to take?
I always had hoped that I could do it once I fell in love with it, but it really wasn't until we found out that there was a like when the AFLW was first announced. And I guess from then, like my eyes just lit up. I was just like, yes, this is it. Like I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna do this. So that was obviously probably the first one, and then like I was lucky enough to kind of go through the whole pathway in New South Wales, and um, I pretty much had a very lucky process and like going through my under 18s career to get drafted. But yeah, probably as soon as the actual league came up was when I really knew that I could, but I always had a dream to play for the Swans. And again, I didn't know how to begin with, but yeah.
And can you describe to us that feeling of being drafted in 2019 by the Melbourne Demons?
Yeah, that was a funny day. I was in the middle of my HSC at the time. So yeah, I guess if we go back a few weeks, I did the draft combine. Even before that, like I was lucky enough to be selected in the All Australian team for under 18s. And then yeah, was kind of training on with the Giants at the time. You had to nominate a state for the draft, and so like if I picked New South Wales, I was only going to get picked up by the Giants. And I guess at the time they didn't have many draft picks and quite a lot of people for the New South Wales pool. So for me, I was kind of just like, well, increase my chances by going to Melbourne or and picking the Victoria pool, because I think there was 8 of the 10 clubs at the time that are based in Vic that were there. So it just increased my chances of being picked up and that sort of stuff. And just thought, like, why not a change? I forgot would have to relocate though when I picked it. And then I realized when I got drafted. But yeah, obviously then fast forward to the HSC and that time in between, I kind of obviously focused towards my studies and doing well in HSE. And then obviously the day came, and fortunately I had no exams that day, but it actually was the day before my agriculture exam, funny enough. And yeah, obviously I went to school up in St. Columbus, so it is a very old sort of building, and the library and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I was in the library, and my reaction, obviously screaming, because what's a normal reaction when you get drafted, startled a few people. And yeah, I guess yeah, it was insane. Obviously, had to run outside, and calls started coming through from like my grandparents, my mom, my dad, because obviously I was with my school friends, I was with my family, and sitting there with everyone hoping to get picked out. I was just trying to. I absolutely failed the studies for my ag. I did okay in my ag exam, but yeah, it was. I don't know, like it was recorded, my reaction, and I still sometimes I go back and watch it, and I still kind of laugh, and I still like, my gosh, like that's when I went from amateur to elite. And that, like, just the realization of that and that moment, it still kind of just yeah brings me back to the whole process, and being a kid with a dream to that dream being achieved.
You alluded to there, I guess, the challenge of moving interstate, moving away from family. How was that experience for you?
I was very lucky that it was to Melbourne. I mean, was I lucky because COVID happened? No, because I got stuck down there for about 6 months without really seeing anyone. So, yeah, look, Melbourne, the change. Obviously, I literally finished school, graduated, had school formal, and then I was literally straight down there as a fresh 18-year-old. So, yeah, it was nuts trying to figure out how to live outside of home, but I don't know, mum said she did it, so I thought I'd be right. So yeah, I don't know, it's Melbourne was great. As a club and as the city, I guess everything's just about on your doorstep down there. So yeah, to move down there and then to sort of be greeted really well with the girls down there. And yeah, pretty much just got stuck into training and work. So it got pretty busy, but and I had a small group of family down there that I was able to live with for my first season. So yeah, it was nuts, but I'd like to think I'm a better person because of it.
And was it a daunting experience to rock up to training camp that first day and know that, as you say, you're now an elite athlete?
Uh yeah, I think I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it's training, so I've done it before. I was nervous. I was so nervous, and I still get nervous day one of preseason. Every year I get nervous because I mean, you do a time trial day one. So my very first experience of training was a 2K time trial, and I was yeah, and then we trained afterwards. So I was that sore the next day. And I was just wondering if this is how it was going to be for the rest of preseason and beyond. And thank gosh it wasn't. But yeah, it was, yeah, I was very nervous, but it was like, I've done this before. Like you've been to training, these are new girls, but like um, this is the start of where you said you wanted to go. So yeah.
Moving away from home, but also other periods of adversity or challenging times, Brenna, how do you overcome those times? So what's your perspective to tackling adversity?
Uh, hope that it gets better. No. Yeah, look, I guess there's been a lot of adversity, especially in the AFLW space, but in women's sport. So yeah, it's sort of that like just you wait, we'll get better. Like, we're growing, we're developing, and yeah, obviously I guess if, when it came down to selection and I didn't get selected, because that was a big part of probably my 3 seasons at Melbourne, was just to take it on the chin, listen, and work on it and improve and like show them that you're supposed to be there and that you're supposed to be playing. But yeah, just listen, and don't, that they know a lot, and you don't know everything yet, or yeah, just be a sponge, and don't wait for someone to come and save you, because it's like, again, not no one's going to be there, but you're in charge of your own life.
Is it tricky at times, Brenna, especially being an elite athlete, to not let your self-worth be attached to your performance? If you're not getting picked in a team, or if you're making mistakes on the ground, is that a tricky balance to actually say, that doesn't define me, that's not who I am?
Yeah, look, it definitely can be, because it's that's as humans, we're obviously wired to survival and that very negative way of thinking and stuff like that. So, it definitely can. And, when you go for weeks where you feel like you're pushing yourself so hard and you don't get picked, which happened in my 3rd season, especially. And, you're just like, I'm working so hard. What do they have over me? And you just kind of got to, again, like, just realize, like, hey, you've got to, like, you're meant to be here. Like, it's not that you're not supposed to be here. And I guess, yeah, the really important thing is to say that, am I supposed to be here? Yes, you are supposed to be here. And yeah, I don't know. I think probably my first 3 seasons, I've probably really learned a lot about my self-worth and linking that to performance, because I guess I really just wanted to be there for my teammates. So, when I'd get pulled aside and say, hey, look, you're not playing this week. We want you to work on this in the VFL or in training. I'd walk out with a smile and just really be there for my teammates. Because again, in the end, the 32 players have to improve for a team to be successful. It's not the 21 on game day, because someone could go down, and then where's the depth? So yeah, I guess I probably always kind of looked to my, if I wasn't playing, that my self-worth was in, I have to keep improving for this team to be successful. And I like to think that, yeah, maybe I only played 3 games in my 3rd season at Melbourne, but they made the grand final. So me pushing myself to the limit to show them that I deserved a spot in that 21, despite me not playing in the grand final, helped them get there. So you kind of just, I mean, for me, sometimes it was just looking for, yeah, like me doing that helped. And I got, yeah, the verbal word of it too. So that was obviously good to know. But sometimes it's just to think that and be like, I'm helping them by working my backside off.
And life outside of football, Brenna, day to day, what do you do to maintain balance in your life?
I still have a lot of freedom. I live pretty close to the Royal National Park as well, so In summer, I spend a lot of time around there and, still bush bashing and, working around there. I've got two dogs that live with me. So they always need walking and attention. So they take up a good chunk of my time as well. And I mean, like during like pre-season and the in-season, a lot of my time spent on recovery. And look, I do still have a second job. Fortunately, I don't have to work so much outside of footy now. But it's more just to even just keep me busy. But yeah, obviously in season and pre-season, there's a lot of recovery involved, doing your extras and stuff like that in the off season. I'll go overseas or go travel and catch up with people because I'm very consumed for 6 months. And to be honest, that's how I'm going to have it, because I've got 6 months to play footy a year. So that 6 months is reserved for footy. And then the next 6 months I can do whatever I want. And yeah, obviously I have an off-season plan as well with the Swans. So obviously working away at that and keeping busy, might work a bit more, go and explore, get in the bush.
And what has travel taught you?
As in like going overseas and stuff.
Yeah, overseas travel.
Um funny that I said probably that there's more to life than footy. I don't know, I really didn't travel until last year. Also, actually until this year, because I went to Europe at the start of this year. But obviously I've been to like New Zealand and stuff like that. But as well, just like the importance of taking a break and just listening to yourself. I feel like after last season, I was just really struggling. I mean, I went through a bit at the end of last season as well. I lost my man and a few things like that, but I didn't really realize that I was just really busy and felt really weighed down. So to just get out of the country was just like, I came back after, even it was only 2 weeks, I came back and I was just ready to go. And I could just really like tackle everything so much better, and I was so much more positive, and I was a lot more productive even. I did a lot of things that I just kind of kept finding excuses for. So yeah, and I mean, there's some equally beautiful places in the world as the country we live in. So
Professional sport, Brenna, there's such fine margins between the top and the bottom, and a lot of that often comes down to the mental side of things. How primed is your mindset for performance? Are there certain things that you do as a daily practice or as part of your training to kind of refine the mental side of playing football?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, we've started doing a lot of like breathing work and stuff like that. So just, when you're a bit exhausted, just focusing on your breath and, where your breath's coming from. Is it coming from your stomach? Is it coming from your chest? Those sorts of things. But yeah, I guess from like a mental side, I guess especially now is where you really start getting challenged mentally, where it's probably in the last like 3 to 4 weeks where the mental challenge of I'm hitting the same bodies over and over again, but I've just got to get up, or I've missed this kick 6 times, or I shouldn't be, but I missed it 6 times. Like, don't let it, like, you've just got to put it past you. You got to put it past you, figure out what the issue is, fix it. That's done. Put it aside, work on the next thing. So, it's times like these, this real, like, really hard part of preseason where you really get your mental fitness going, because again, our games are shorter than the men's. We have less games than the men's, so the last thing you can afford is for you to go into a deep dark place, and struggle to pull yourself out. So I think this time of year, even though we're not doing mental practices, it's just really being sharp and focusing in training. I'm just grinding through, getting through training, and knowing you had a good session and that you didn't feel lost, and that you had a good session.
The football's been a massive part of your life, as we've spoken about, Brenna, but you're still relatively early days in terms of your AFLW career. If you were to cast the lens, say 10 years down the track, what are you hoping to see from your football career?
Yeah, I've done this a lot. I keep trying to figure out where on earth I am in my career at the moment, because I'm like, am I how like 6 pre-seasons? I'm just like, one of the men's players just retired on 15 preseasons, so I'm not even halfway through his season yet. So am I still young, or how far am I into this preseason or into my footy career? But it's crazy how those 6 seasons have just flown by. So yeah, obviously I've had some thoughts about 10 years in the future, hopefully. Outside of footy, I've studied, and I'm into my dream career, or at least doing something that I genuinely love, that I want to keep doing once footy ends. Hopefully I'm still healthy and still playing, and my body's keeping up in 10 years time, because I'll be 20, sorry, not 20, 30, 32, 33. So hopefully I'm still playing footy. Like, again, preseason, like seasons an athlete's career can only go for like 15, if you're lucky, 19 seasons. So you put that into perspective, that could be a fifth of your life that you're actually doing this. So just obviously making the most of it. I hope I've made the most of it, and hopefully the AFLW's move to a real full-time space. We're playing so much more, we're a lot fitter, the game's just looking like a whole new thing, and that it's fully embraced, and everyone gets around it and everyone's accepted.
And that's the look ahead, Brenna. But during your day today, do you take the time to look back and reflect on your incredible journey to this point, and again to think about it to that year 8 student who's living the dream? Are you a reflective person by nature?
Oh, I think especially in this like real slog of a middle part of preseason, I've definitely thought back to it a lot and done a lot of reflecting about how it's gone, and so much adversity, and obviously a lot of battles in terms of being in the team, being out the team. I've been fortunate to not have many injuries, but obviously it still blows me away that I'm even doing this. I don't think it ever will. I think when you're here, I don't see myself as a as a not as a person that doesn't get looked up to, but just I don't feel like that, because I still, like, I don't know, you don't just go from one to the other. Like, I still have my idols. I still absolutely adore Jess, and obviously I hope that I can be like that. I can be the Jess to the Brenna for someone else. But it doesn't, I don't know, there hasn't been a change in me, which I'm very grateful for. Obviously I feel like I've developed as an athlete and as a person, but Brenna hasn't changed, which I think has probably been the biggest thing I've sort of admired, probably over the time that I've been reflecting. And again, just how quickly it's gone. Like, I've done 3 seasons at Melbourne, and now I'm going into my 3rd season at Sydney, and that's 6 seasons already, and I'm 22, and hopefully I can go on till I'm 30 plus, if my body and my mind allows it to. So but yes, I'm just trying to take it day by day, literally, to I think at the moment, just to really enjoy it, and I guess I'll make the most of it.
And Brenna, looking ahead, the season, as we said, is just a few weeks away. What's the best way for people to follow your journey?
I'm active on my socials. I like to try and respond to people as well. Where I can. So I'll always try and, if someone reaches out to me, respond. But very active on like Instagram and socials like that. My agency likes to likes to let everyone know about our stories. Obviously, the AFLW is broadcasted on Channel 7 and 7 Mate, and on KO on the AFLW app. So there's plenty of ways to watch the growth of AFLW and to support it and stuff. But I'm an open person, so or I want to be, especially for the upcoming generation, and even for the little mountain kids that need someone to look up to. Hopefully I can be one of those, but always hoping I can reach out and be in touch with people.
Brenna, it's been an incredibly refreshing and inspiring conversation. Thank you very much for sharing your story on In Focus on the Mojo Sports Network. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. I really love being on. Thank you.